Okay, so we are,
Look at Starbucks. Right.
I don't know. Okay, so we are back. Is advisory online, Kevin?
Yes.
On Zoom? Oh, okay. So before we get to the year-end transfers, I apologize, everyone, that we're 15 minutes late. Is there any public comment? Any public comment in the audience? No, nothing online? Great, okay. So now we'll go to the year-end transfers. Have they already called to order? Advisory? Okay,
Sorry, Ellen, I'm waiting for one more person. We have a
Okay.
not quite quorum.
not quite a quorum. Okay,
Almost.
and you got the documents this afternoon?
Yes, we did. Thank you.
So we're waiting for the advisory quorum because they also have to authorize the year-end transfers, and we thought we would kill two birds with one stone in one meeting as opposed to two meetings.
Oh, I do have a quorum, I believe. Hold on a minute. Two. Hey, Fran.
Right.
Two. Four.
We're meeting tomorrow night, but that's just because heads up.
Four. Six. I do have a quorum, so let us just do our call to order. So if advisory could please unmute so we can do that. And I'm calling to order the Cohasset Advisory Committee joint meeting with the Select Board on Tuesday, July 9th, 2024 at 7 p.m. We're conducting this meeting virtually. And we need to have a roll call, please. Fran Collins?
Here.
Mary McGoldrick?
Here.
Mike Barclay?
Mike Barclay, present.
Meg Wheeler?
Meg Wheeler present.
And Jean Estino present. Diane Kennedy is on her way, but she doesn't affect the quorum, so we can proceed.
Okay, thank you. Thanks very much. Michelle, are you taking us through the year-end transfers?
Our town.
Oh, okay. Is Corey there?
Corey is here.
Oh. Hi, Corey.
Hi, how are you?
Good. Thank you for joining us.
Yep.
All right, so will you take us through the year-end transfers? Please.
Sure. Not too bad. This year was pretty simple. We were able to just use the reserve fund and the health insurance surpluses to cover the various department deficits. Does everybody have the proposed transfers in front of them?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. I mean, I guess it's kind of like I said, it's kind of simple. Like we were able to just use the reserve fund and like basically the majority of the reserve fund. I think there's only like $1,000 left in that fund now, and then about half of the little more than half of the health insurance accounts, and that covered all of the other department deficits. So not a bad journal entry, pretty straightforward. Does anybody have any questions or?
Chris has his hand.
Chris,
Hi, Chris.
Hi, Corey. Just wanted to double check the math. You mentioned that about half of the health insurance fund is going to these transfers.
Yeah,
I'm
like
looking
so
at
I
the
think,
sheet, and if I'm looking at the sheet in the packet, the amount in the fund and the amount being transferred match. Is that a typo?
sorry. Which one?
It's the year-end transfers Excel sheet that was in the select board packet.
Yes. So the health insurance is ending around 344,000, and we're going to be using 160,600.
So the amount column toward the center of the page should be 340,000.
So like in column F for health insurance, I'm just saying this is the amount from that we're gonna use. And then when you go over to column J.
Yep.
Those are the various departments, and L is in their corresponding amounts that we'll get of that 160,600.
Okay. I'm just being a spreadsheet nerd. I noticed that at the top it doesn't match and on the bottom it does match.
Sorry, where does it not match?
So if you look at the reserve fund in the amount column, it's 217,500. And then
Yep.
over to the right, what I
Oh,
assume
the
is
215.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, sorry. I made a last minute change. So thank you for
Okay.
catching that.
just making sure I'm interpreting it properly.
Anyone else on the select board have any comments or questions? Oh, I have one question. If we still have, Corey, in the health insurance fund, let me see if I can do the math, about 180,000, why would we not use that to offset some of those expenses that we're using the reserve fund for?
My guidance was reserve fund is an account that we can always zero down to. So I took the approach of let's use that pretty much as we can, and then go to as the secondary source, the health insurance. I'm
Okay.
not sure.
You answered my question.
Oh, okay.
Thank you. Jean, anyone on your group?
Does anyone have any questions? And just for the record keeping, Mrs. Kennedy and Mark Cameron joined us a little bit late, so just so that they're on the list of attendees, please.
Okay, Mrs. Kennedy?
Hi, thank you. Just a question on the reserve fund. I believe we fund that every year at $200,000, so that just gets replenished.
Yeah, I think it's around I know last year was like 248, and I think we kept around that same amount for fiscal year 25.
I just, this is, I'm kind of a broken record about this, but I think probably in the upcoming year, we should really revisit our financial policies, because the reserve fund typically has been reserved for unforeseen and kind of emergency purposes. So understand that it's getting replenished, but I think some of these budget overages within the operating budget, are questionable as emergency expenditures, but I'm obviously going to support this, and thanks for your hard work, Corey.
Anyone else on advisory?
I have no questions. It was pretty clear.
Okay,
Thank you.
yep, so we need to vote, correct? All right, so Jean, the select board will vote first and then advisory? Is that
Great.
acceptable?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. So I'd like a motion to approve the FY24 budget transfers in the amount stipulated on the presentation we received, $215,000 from the reserve fund and $160,600 from the health insurance.
I'll make that motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Jack Creighton, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Oh, I'm sorry. We have to vote by roll call because Chris Plex is on Zoom. So
Sorry.
nope, that's okay. Roll call, please. Mr. Grady,
Paul Grady, aye.
Mr. Creighton,
Jack Creighton, aye.
Mr. Farag,
David Farag, aye.
Mr. Plex,
Chris Plex, aye.
Ellen Mar, aye. Go ahead, Jean.
Okay. Do I have a motion to approve the fiscal year 24 budget transfers as presented in documentation today?
So moved.
I'm sorry, who said that?
Mary and somebody else.
Okay, so Mary, and who was the second?
I'll second that.
Okay, thank you. All right, roll call, please. Diane Kennedy,
Diane Kennedy, aye.
Mary McGoldrick,
Aye.
Mike Barclay,
Mike Barclay, aye.
Meg Wheeler,
Meg Wheeler, aye.
Fran Collins,
Aye.
Mark Cameron,
Mark Cameron, aye.
and Jean Estino, aye.
Great. Thank you very much. Are you going to adjourn, Jean, or
Um,
you want to,
is there any-
you guys
is
want
there
to stay
anything
on?
else? Is there anything else budget-wise that we should listen to? I didn't look at your agenda, I'm sorry.
No, we just did the year-end transfers. Next up is Tom Callahan and a preview of zoning for special town meeting. If you'd like to listen, you're more than welcome to.
Okay, thank you. I'm sure he will come before us with the same preview. So I think I will pass, but anyone who wants to stay behind and listen is welcome to. But in the meantime, we'll adjourn our meeting. So do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion
So-
to adjourn.
Mike and Diane. Okay, roll call, please. Diane Kennedy,
Diane Kennedy, aye.
Mary McGoldrick,
Aye.
Mike Barclay,
Mike Barclay, aye.
Meg Wheeler,
Meg Wheeler, I.
Fran Collins,
Aye.
Mark Cameron,
Aye.
and Gina Stino. I'm an aye also. Thanks so much. Thanks to all of my committee members for coming out on a different meeting. And thank you to the select board for including us in this one.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so now we'll move on to Mr. Callahan. I believe I re-forwarded his memo to us from earlier in the summer, so we're fresh on that, so.
I've been told.
Tom, if you would kindly could turn that around so that you can be heard. I think we can be heard.
Thank you. I'm Callahan, Chair of the Zoning Bylaw Committee and Chair of the Planning Board. You got my memo about the fall for the zoning bylaw reform. Intending to finish it with this fall. I outlined that there could be as many as 7 articles that would make sure that we've touched every one of the original 22 articles of the zoning bylaw. Could be less. Of those 7 at the moment, 2 of them I've resolved with the Alternative Energy Committee for the 2 that affect their bylaw. MAPC is taking care of the floodplain overlay bylaw reform, and they may take on the Water Resource District as well as that, so.
I'm sorry, Tom, can I just interrupt you? When you say taking care of, meaning they're writing
They're
the,
writing it.
writing the revision?
Yeah, they're
Okay, thank
writing it.
you.
And actually, the revisions are a lot less than we thought. Actually, our bylaw is surprisingly in good shape compared to what the new state mandate in this new state model bylaw is. So I just have 4 asks for you this evening. Number 1, if you'd like, go ahead and disband the bylaw committee. It's not really functioning. You 2 guys are now here. We have 2 members on the planning board on it. We have 1 zoning board member. The citizen member is kind of not participating. It's just too demanding to have 2 meetings of that and 2 meetings of the planning board every week. So what I proposed is to have the planning board just become the sponsor of the articles. Most everything has been written and has been proposed before, so there's no drafting or anything that needs to be done. So I just assume get it out of the way and get 1 more committee and schedules for everybody. 3 of us who are sitting here just off of our calendar. Second,
Go through all of them.
and the second one is for town council. I'd like you to charge town council to do 2 things. Number 1 is to write the development mitigation bylaw. I somewhat stung by the criticism of my first draft, let them write it, frankly. I think they're in the best position to do so. The second thing is part of the reform of this is also to create a new centralized organization of all the land use regulations in town. Especially like with the reform of the wind and solar bylaws, a lot of that material is going to move into regulations. So I just like to know from town council how to implement that. Whether we need multiple votes of multiple boards or planning board can just organize it, and I wouldn't be changing the text of the other boards bylaw regulations, that just moving them, it's really just moving them, and so that the public has a central place to go for all regulation, and it's modeled on how the state organizes its regulations. So those are 2 things for town council. The 4th thing is just that all I would ask, and I'm going to ask this to my planning board tomorrow night, is whatever comes forward, Particularly, the two things that might be controversial is the adoption of floor area ratio in residential districts, which should have been coming forward in the spring and it didn't. And then the change to frontage, which we're considering in the residential cluster bylaw. I would just ask that you're the ultimate gatekeeper. Planning board will just make recommendations, and the planning board can sponsor them, and the planning board might recommend against them. But I just would like to see everything go to the floor at town meeting. Let it rise and fall in front of town meeting, not because a minority of one or two people on a particular committee kill something. So that's all I ask. Is, I appreciate the support you shown during the last town meeting cycle. I can't tell you how pleased I was with that and appreciative of that. And that's all I ask, is just the final changes, let everything go. If they pass, they pass. If they don't, they don't. And then we'll still be in the same position we are with our zoning bylaw on those two issues as we are today. That's all I ask. So, is any questions? I'll take them. I don't know when town meeting is, but I'm working on the cycle of having everything ready by the end of September.
Yeah.
Okay.
Tom, thank you very much. You and I have been on this since day one through numerous select board.
Yep.
It is a lot of work, and you've done a lot of work, and I think the town owes you a lot of gratitude, so thank you.
Throw me a beer after the fall town meeting.
Fair.
Well, I didn't say that. too.
I think I can swing that.
So that's it. I mean, the important thing, though, to keep on that September schedule is to ask town council, charge, I can't direct them to do it. You know what the budget is, but.
Well, I have a question.
Hmm?
So how do you want us to proceed to get what you're saying about the FAR, those ideas directly to town meeting, let the citizens vote? I agree
Put them on
wholeheartedly.
the warrant.
Put them on the.
Put them on the warrant, and even if, the FAR one didn't come forward in the spring because two of the members,
The two people going,
we had one clear opponent and two people who didn't think it was ready for prime time, that phrase that I can't stand. I just said, even if the planning board were to vote 3-2 against it, recommendation, let it go to town meeting. Let it go on the merits to town meeting,
I'm fine with that.
even without a positive recommendation. I don't have a problem with that. It's just a lot of work's been put into it, and I just would like to just see it go up or down. And the same with frontage. If, and it's, again, at this point, it's an if we do something, change frontage, go back to traditional suburban frontage that we once had 50 years ago, let that go. And,
Fine with it, Tom.
that's all I ask. We'll deal with it on the floor.
One concern that,
I don't want one or two people killing it at a committee
one
level.
concern that I have, and I would ask, who's also been on this board for a long
Mhm.
the input from non-planning board members is very strong and is very supportive of some of the more controversial issues and some of the issues and lobbied by people with a vested interest. And I asked David to also give his thoughts, whether we should, while we do this, incorporate some mechanism for some select board, maybe a working.
Yeah.
Not to do the heavy work, because I certainly don't want to do any more of that, but to provide some support for some of the ones where we might have what I would say,
I appreciate
That's
that,
it.
because the bylaw committee has been kind of breaking 4-1 in support of most of the, for either 5-0 or 4-1.
I know.
And I appreciate having that support. I mean, again, since most of this has already been written and pitched and exists, my plan would be to go, do this and go see
I'd
advisors.
ask my colleague,
However you want to do it, but the idea, what I'm trying to avoid, and part of the use for my schedule, is having 4 meetings a month that I just.
I absolutely agree. That's why I would not necessarily, but I'd like to hear with David, because David is really, after you, this probably the hardest working member of that committee.
Thanks. I'll put in my 2 cents on it. For being on that committee for the last couple of years, with the last 7 articles that you have here and all the work that Tom has done in it, which has been immense. We're down to the end. Most of it has been accomplished through the last couple of town meetings. It's scrubbed up the zoning bylaw, and the real importance of it, while people might not realize, is that it protects the town.
Mhm.
And so it has, it's well-versed, well-written. It's been gone through by town council, and it's brought everything up to date. with all the cases and everything as of today. So therefore, we don't have some of the incongruences that were in the bylaw that were there before. So that's already been done. With the 7 that we have here, there's really what I consider 3 categories. The first one is the development impact mitigation bylaw. To me, that's very important because that's the last piece of the puzzle that protects the town in regards to development, to make sure that if there is development, it's harmonious in interacting and fitting in with the town. And so that one is, to me, probably the most important. The next set is the ones that deal with more of the alternative energy committee, those ones on wind and solar, which are going to, and even the floodplain one, which will be scrubbed up. And then the final ones are sort of new, looking at potential changes going forward. And so that's the third category with, floor area ratio and frontage and the like. So I don't have an issue with it going to the planning board. I know the town clerk's been asking me to resign from the board now that I'm on the select board. And I think that it makes sense functionally to do that with these last few articles. And, but I do think that with the first one, even if town council is brought in to help draft it, there does need to be a lot of oversight. So we're not just getting a vanilla bylaw. We're getting one that we can cohasitize. And I know the planning board will look into it, but I think we really need to, that's the one that we're really gonna have to dig in a little bit on and look at it. Not just have the planning board, but everyone else as well, because that's the one when we've talked with them before about it, when Tom took his crack at it, looking at other towns, bringing what they had to play. Town council seems to lean towards that, well, you have to be careful because, you can only ask for so much in different ways, balancing what's legal. But the fact of the matter is a lot of towns have mitigation bylaws, which is one of the ones that Tom helped draft them from. So
There's actually only a couple, but they're much bigger towns.
They're much bigger towns.
That's the big difference, is they're
Yes.
much bigger towns that have these.
they are, but the fact of the matter is it happens all the time, but it has to be something that's codified. If it's gonna stand. So to me, that one just needs a little bit more oversight with it. The other ones, the AEC is gonna help with and planning board
already
can over.
Those are done.
Yeah, those are
Not-
basically
not-
done.
not recommended.
And then it's just the last portion of them, which is sort of the new ones, which are being rehashed from before, and they might have tweaks here or there. So I don't see any issue with giving it to the planning board to do so. And-
Regarding town council, again, I'd like, if they do the mitigation thing, I of course would like to be involved and see their draft early, but again, keep them on. I would put them so that we have time to look at what they write, early September timeline. And how to implement the new code of regulations, the sooner the better, because the planning board is probably the one who's going to vote to implement the new code. If it's got to go to multiple boards to implement, then, I would like to have that code of regulations in place before town meeting because of the changes that will be coming at town meeting to move stuff.
The only addition I would have to it is that as the planning board goes through it, is that they stay in consultation with the zoning board. So that it's not just they're giving them something after it pops out of the can, is that, they just, which we have done
Yeah,
with our bylaw committee.
I'll make that's the easy part. It's just the meeting.
I'm,
Committees 2 times a month is just, I can't do it.
It's a lot.
Yeah,
It's a
I'm-
lot.
trust me, I'm
Yeah.
Okay.
in favor of that. On the mitigation, though, I would like to be kept because I actually worked in mitigation and helped develop that years ago in
Mhm.
Boston, when they were first deciding that developers might have an obligation to the community to mitigate the effects of that. So just keep me.
My concern is having that bylaw passed before any possible development in the new MBTA district.
I agree.
Ever
Right.
take place.
Right.
That's
Right.
where the biggest potential of big development.
Right. Mr. Flex, do you have any comments or questions for Mr. Callahan?
No, just want to say I appreciate the efforts. I know it's been challenging, and we appreciate all the work that you put into it, Tom.
Thank you, Chris.
Second.
Second, do you have any further comments?
So David, question. You're good with sunsetting the committee too?
Yes,
Yeah, well-
yes, I would, and having the planning board take it over.
Yeah, so that was going to be my question is, there's consensus amongst the planning board to take on the balance of this work.
I suggested it to 3 of them at our last meeting. We didn't have much of a quorum. Tomorrow night we will, so.
Okay, so,
It's just that we could be in the awkward position of being the official sponsor of something, but also voting to recommend against passage of it, but that's not.
we've done that, so. yeah.
I'm not worried about that.
I appreciate your desire to put it to town meeting floor and let the residents vote on it. And it's the reason why we have committees is because you have divergent opinions. So, and you put it to the floor. Michelle, to the best of your knowledge, is there any prohibition from us voting to disband? Oh, there's none. Okay,
For committee.
okay.
So I would make a motion to disband the zoning bylaw committee.
Okay,
and
Mr.
put-
Great.
Put it over to some of the responsibilities over the planning board for Tom to execute.
Okay, so Mr. Grady's made a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay. Any further conversation about that particular point? No? Okay, so we need a roll call vote. Mr. Grady,
Already, aye.
Jack Creighton, aye.
David Frog, aye.
Mr.
Chris
Plex,
Plex, aye.
and Ellen Mar, aye. Okay, regarding your second request for town council, I will meet with Mr. Senior and we'll get that on their docket immediately with the timeline that you requested. Okay. And I think that's it. As soon as we've decided on a special town meeting date, we'll let you know. And I'm sure. Chris is off.
I'm operating on the same schedule as last year to have everything ready by the end of September.
Yeah. Okay,
And then it can go through all its formal reviews with the different committees. So,
okay. Is there anything else?
no, that's it.
All right. Well, thank you very much for all your work.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Okay, so it's 7:40. We're a little bit behind the conservation restriction for 487 King Street. We need to vote to ratify it. We have Mr. Wall here with us to review.
Thank you.
Oh, it's your birthday?
Yes, it is.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Don't ask how old.
Younger
You know,
than
that
me.
beer I was gonna give Tom, I'm gonna. give to for
Thank you.
birthday.
Name and address just for the record.
Jeff Wall, 36 Old Pasture Road, and the Director of Cohasset Conservation Trust.
Okay.
2021 town meeting voted to fund a conservation restriction to the town for $450,000 for 487 King Street. Since that, we've been working on that diligently. We had to create a draft, submit it to town council, receive comments from town council, incorporated their comments, submitted to the state for their review, waited over a year for their review because they had staffing issues, incorporated their comments. Now we're at a point where we have to get the concurrence from the signing bodies of the town, which is the Select Board and Conservation Commission. You don't have to sign it yet, but you have to say everything looks okay. And then we send it back to the state for the legal review. We'll then send it back to us to get signatures, and then we'll almost be done.
And then we'll almost be done. I think was not the $450,000, wasn't that renewed again
That was renewed at this
Yeah,
year's.
this time? Yeah.
So you're looking for ratification, right, sir?
Yes.
Does anyone have any questions on the Conservation Trust for 487 King Street? No questions?
I'd like to move that we issue the conservation or approve the conservation restriction for 487 King Street.
Second it.
Okay. Any further conversation? Any questions for us?
Conservation Commission here? I thought
No.
that would be here.
We did not,
Conservation Trust.
we did not get notification that they wanted to join the meeting.
Okay.
We would have had them in the same as
Right.
advisory. Yeah. I'm afraid you might have to go to them separately.
Okay.
Okay, so we have a motion and a second on the floor. No further conversation. Have a roll call vote. Mr. Grady,
Paul Grady, aye.
Mr. Creighton,
Jack Creighton, aye.
David Frog, aye.
Chris Plex, aye.
Ellen Mar, aye. Thank you. So we look forward to your return for our signatures when it's time.
Great, thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, Next up are licenses and permits. Do you need us or not yet? Tracy?
No.
Oh, yes, yes,
I did cross off that last.
yes. Thank you. Okay, Michelle, do you want to present these?
Chief quickly.
Okay,
Hi, board. Can you hear me?
Hi, Chief.
yes, hi, chief.
Hey, good evening. There's just, we have 4 of these and all of them are, long-term, they're standing events. They don't have a big footprint. There's not much impact to the town. The first one is the St. Stephen's Church Annual Picnic for Sunday, September 8th, 2024. I think you have the packet there in
Yes.
front of you. I have to assume, if there's any questions on that, I can hopefully answer them. The one caveat is they do have a bouncy house that is erected on the common, the far south end of the common. And, that was a pain point before for certain boards, but they pulled it off last year with no problem. And I'd recommend that we allow them to do it again this year.
So, chief, is that location, is it in front of 41 Highland Ave or is it on the other side of the duck pond?
It's closer to St. Stephen's.
Okay.
It's the far south end, very south end, south of Long Road.
Okay. That was the only question I had. Anyone else have any questions?
Nope.
Chris?
Chief, just one question. Why was it a pain point in the past?
Other boards, just didn't like the look of having a bouncy house on the common, quite frankly.
Okay.
Yeah.
They're entitled to their opinion, I guess.
Yes.
All right, so,
Can I ask a question?
yes,
Sorry about that, Chief. I apologize. Did you say that boards did not like a bouncy house on the common?
Probably about 3 or 4 years ago, they allowed it, but there was some concern that there may be issues with it and just the aesthetics of it.
What, that it might pop?
I'm sorry?
That it might pop or something?
Yes, blow away.
Ah, okay.
But yeah, there's been no problem with it whatsoever. And it's only a couple of hours, so it's definitely doable on our end.
okay.
But I make a motion that we approve all the license and permits and board. Do we have to do each one at a time?
Well, so chief, the fourth one is off the table for tonight.
Great.
Okay, and just as a point of information, the Cape Cod Bay Challenge one, Sunday, August 3rd, that's more of a save the date. With sort of the alternate plan, if the winds are a certain way and the currents are a certain way, they want to move from Duxbury down to Cohasset. They saved the date again. They saved the date last year and it didn't come to fruition. They canceled the day before. They usually know a couple days in advance, but again, very low impact. And these are recurring events, so there's no issue with any of these.
Yeah, I thought, I mean, the plan is very similar to last year in terms of parking drop off and what would happen and how the paddlers would exit, Cohasset Harbor. For that. I did have a question, perhaps more for Michelle, for the Safe Harbor International Overdose Awareness Day. In the request, and I don't recall from last year, there was a request to have 41 Highland Ave with a purple spotlight, which is that, have we done that before? Or how would we do that? Or it said facilities would do it, but I just find that a little vague.
So we can do it. I don't know if we've done it before.
From what I know, we
have. Okay. I just started in January, so I haven't been.
Oh, okay.
I think last year, if I remember correctly, last year we shied away from lighting town hall in any certain way because there was concern that other groups could request, town hall be lit in a certain way. So I think the consensus of the board in past years has been to just, people can do what they want on the common, but I think they shied away from lighting town hall. But I sort of remember that, but I'm not exactly sure how it come out in the end.
Yeah, I don't recall it from last year, but probably in past years, and I concur with you that, if it happens this month, what happens? I mean, every month could have a color lit on town hall. And And it's a maintenance issue and a parity issue. So I would, so I think,
I can speak, sorry to interrupt, this is Nicole Balashi, the program director of Safe Harbor. So last year we did have facilities, they just changed the light bulb to the entrance of the town hall. So it wasn't a spotlight, it was just that one light that lit up at the entrance, and it was just for the week leading up to Recovery Month.
Well, I
Just to
think
bring
that-
awareness.
Yeah, as I recall, that was the issue that suddenly you're starting to set precedent. So why did one group gets it, another group doesn't? And I think that's why we, in our wisdom, decided, let's just leave that alone.
so, okay. So now the question is, not a spotlight on the building, but the bulb in the overhead light on the front. Is it on the front of the historic section, Michelle, or is it on the front of the municipal section? Nicole, sorry, Nicole.
No worries. It was the municipal side, not the historical side. And we completely understand either which way. I just wanted to clarify that it was done last year, just for the week.
Okay. So does the board have discussion on changing out the light bulb?
I think we would I just don't want to go down the road of everybody has to have changing bulbs
Okay.
here and there and making points. I mean, we'll be forever in creating issues that I don't think the select board of the town needs us to spend their time on.
Okay. And Mr. Brady, you concur?
I concur with that. I'm all for it. I was at that event last year, but
Okay.
yeah, just a week, I mean.
And I might add, I've been a very strong supporter of Safe Harbor from day one. I think they do great work and the town should be very proud. When you see that they've gotten those junior high school kids ambassadors
Mhm.
to tell their classmates. Because one of the things I learned was that the opioid and alcohol abuse really starts in the middle school because those kids have no protection and it's all social media. Safe Harbor stepped forward and I think they've done an excellent job, and thank you, Nicole.
Okay, so that being said, instead of,
Does Chris have his hand up?
oh, sorry, Chris, go ahead. Thank you, David.
No, Ellen, go ahead.
Okay, no, I was going to say, instead of having a mass motion and a mass vote, because there's a change to the Safe Harbor application, we're going to do this one by one. So can I have a motion to approve the St. Stephen's Church Annual Picnic
Motion.
on Sunday, September 8th?
I made a motion.
Motion by Mr. Grady. Can I have a second? Mr. Creighton, roll call vote?
Paul Grady, aye.
Jack Creighton, aye.
David Frog, aye.
Chris Plex, aye.
Ellen Mar, aye. Okay. Can I have a motion to approve the Cape Cod Bay Challenge for Sunday, August 3rd, 2024?
So moved.
Mr. Grady made the motion. Mr. Creighton seconded. Roll call?
Paul Grady, aye.
Jack Creighton, aye.
David Frog, aye.
Chris Plex, aye.
Ellen Mar, aye. All right, I'd like to have a motion for the Safe Harbor International Overdose Awareness Day with the deletion of the colored light on Town Hall request.
So moved.
Second,
Okay, roll call vote?
Paul Grady, aye.
Jack Creighton, aye.
David Frog, aye.
Chris Plex, aye.
Ellen Mar, aye. Okay, and then the fourth item, we are deferring that to another meeting. So thank you very much, Chief.
One thing, Madam Chairwoman, the date on the Cape Cod Challenge looks to be incorrect on the agenda.
Oh,
So we may just have to amend that. Kevin,
Saturday?
Does Kevin have the original paperwork there?
Oh, the organizer of it, just wanted to let you know it's Saturday, not Sunday.
Okay, so
Would that be the second?
No, Saturday's the third.
All right, so we'll just make an amendment. We'll amend motion to August Saturday instead of Sunday, same date, August
Third.
third.
Okay, so we have to withdraw our vote.
I move we withdraw the vote for the Cape
Yep.
Cod Bay
Second.
Challenge.
Okay. First Sunday, Jack Creighton, Paul Grady, all in favor, roll call?
Already, I.
Jack Creighton, aye.
David Frog, aye.
Chris Plex, aye.
Ellen Mar, aye. Okay, so may I have a motion for the Cape Cod Bay Challenge for Saturday, August 3rd?
So moved.
Second,
Roll call, please.
Already, I.
Jack Creighton, aye.
David Frog, aye.
Chris Plex, aye.
Ellen Mar, aye. Thank you, Chief, for that
Thank-
clarifying.
Thank you.
So was it, I'll look on the application. I don't know if it was the agenda was wrong or the application was wrong. Okay, thank you very much. Anything else, Chief?
No, we're good. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Chief.
Thank you.
Thank
Night,
you.
guys.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Nicole. Okay, next up, Cohasset Historical Commission, request for approval, installation of a Cohasset Village sign. We have Mrs. Dormitzer with us. Hi.
Hello. Dormitzer, Atlantic Ave.
So you want to just make your presentation?
Yes, I just wanted to, I'm here on behalf of the Historical Commission to ask for your approval to install a sign that I believe you have seen. It was sent maybe a month ago to you. It depicts 20 photographs of old Cohasset Village, the old shops there and the buildings, most of which are still standing. And the sign itself is 24 inches high by 42 inches wide. And we would like to place it at the southernmost end of the common, opposite Sotheby's, right at the end of, there's a crosswalk there. There's kind of a patch on the common and it'd be in that vicinity.
Toward the old bus.
It's to the, well.
Right
it's
of that?
facing- it's to
Yeah.
the right.
Okay. Okay. Is there any comments or conversation?
I'd like to see a picture of it.
It was in the packet.
I'm looking at the packet.
I can show you a printout. No, that's, okay. The first one is just to show you the type of sign. The actual sign is behind it.
And it's plexiglass over it, right?
Well, it's an embedded fiberglass.
Oh.
It's not plexiglass, but it's a very durable sign made by Pioneer in Pennsylvania.
Okay.
And they've got a warranty for 10 years, which is really good. So
And with the historical commission, or is it society or commission?
Commissioner.
Forgive me, commission be responsible for the purchase and installation?
yes,
Okay,
well, we'd probably ask the town, the DPW to install it, but they can't. We hire somebody.
okay,
I hope they can.
okay. Any comments or questions?
I saw it in the packet. I thought it was brilliant, and I think it's great because that particular area is where people come across the street to traverse, and then they, go to Seabird Coffee, so people come with their kids. Obviously, we've got a lot of people that go to the community center and then cross the street, and it's in a perfect spot to see that, and then, of course, to show all the different old different pieces in the village. I think it'll be great for people to see the town history because to have it right there standing for them. So I think it's going to be a great addition
Thank you.
to the common.
Not only that, but we hope to create a historic district out of the village area, and this would certainly support that. It would show people how historical it is, and hopefully it would create approval for that kind of district.
Okay, well, if there's, Mr. Plex, do you have any comments or No?
No, I'm in
Okay.
favor of the proposal.
Okay, so can I have a motion to approve the installation of a Cohasset Village sign by the Cohasset Historical Commission?
So moved.
May I have a second?
Second,
I'll give it to Mr. Farag. Okay, roll call, all in favor? Mr. Grady,
Already, I.
Mr. Creighton,
Aye. Jack Creighton, aye.
David Frog, aye.
Chris Plex, aye.
Ellen Mar, aye. Thank you.
Thank you.
You'll have to let us know when it's up so we can all make sure we drive by.
Probably September.
Okay,
Wow.
okay. Thank you very much. Okay, Michelle, do you want to talk about the relocation? Yeah.
So we're asking for your vote to change the location of voting for the state primary on September 3rd, as well as the presidential election November 5th. Typically, voting is held here at Wilcott Commons due to events that we're unable to hold here. We did try to work with the schools to hold it there. We were not successful due to their calendars already being planned. So we are asking to move it to St. Anthony's Pastoral Hall for these 2 dates.
And if St. Anthony's has obviously,
Yes.
it's okay with them.
Yes.
Okay, so will there be a stupid question? I'm sure we'll have a police detail to direct traffic because you don't want people coming in from Summer Street going the wrong way and because that parking lot can get a little crazy sometimes. Okay, does anyone have any questions or comments?
No, I'd make a motion to approve.
I was gonna say, I did a comment
Oh,
on it.
sorry.
That's okay.
Yeah,
I think with this, it goes to a bigger, I agree with this, but I think it goes to a bigger problem is that we can't have voting in the town hall. And that our town clerk has been stuck bouncing around, trying to figure out where elections need to be. And that in summation, while this is in the interim and it has to happen, I think we need to get a bigger plan so that we can have a permanent voting site because it gets confusing for people. And then it gets into election integrity as well, because people don't know, is it at the Deer Hill School? Is it at the Wilcott Commons? Is it at the St. Anthony's? Is it at the town hall? We bounced around now to 4 places because of the town hall issue. So hopefully that can be resolved, or we can get a permanent place that the elections can happen. This particular election, as you know, because it's going to be the primary and the presidential, it's going to be even with the mail-in ballots that we currently have, it's the most attended of all the elections that we do
Right,
have,
right.
unlike a town election. So I do agree with it. It's the best place that she was able to come up with, but I do feel for the town clerk having to bounce around our elections, and hopefully we'll have a more permanent site in the future.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I would agree with that. Most communities apparently are using school facilities. And I don't see any reason why for the most important civic duty of a citizenship that having it in the schools. And I know there's been some questions, well, we don't have room in the schools, or we have to close the schools down. Listen, if I had to give the kids a day off for election day and they vote when they got older, I would be 100% for it. So I think David's idea that we need a permanent solution is something, and I would urge my fellow select board members to put that on the agenda and work with Michelle to get a permanent location. And I would hope I would be in favor of the school, but first let's move to get a permanent.
I got a question.
Mm-hmm.
Hingham does it.
Yeah.
They're voting at the high school.
High school and middle school.
So what's with us?
We did work with the superintendent because the calendar was already set for this year. That's why there's challenges.
That election day?
No, the school, so
Votes on a calendar.
in March for the following fiscal year. So,
This year, when they vote in March, we're going to incorporate any election dates that we need with the schools.
All right, so this is kind of a one-off.
For now, yes.
yeah, I don't, yeah, I think just because town hall has always been the place to go, it's never, at least in my time on school committee, it was never brought forth to us. But if you look, Situate High School is their polling place. And typically what schools do is they'll either have a professional development day, so only teachers are in the building and no students. Hingham actually moved their first day of school to September 4th this year instead of September 3rd, so that their polling is done there at the Hingham High School and the Hingham Middle School. Hull does it in the whole high school. Norwell does it in their town hall. So I think, to Mr. Creighton's point, early next spring, we will sit, with the school committee and the superintendent and look at, before they set their FY '26 calendar, we will look at the polling days as we know them. And, because in my opinion, it should be at the schools.
Well, my thing is, it's a presidential election. It's kind of a bell ringer. They should have known it. I'm gonna put that right out there.
I just think everything that transpired with the town hall, I just think there was a lot of balls in the air. Just,
You know what, Paul, honestly, it's never top of mind. Because Cohasset's always had an alternative, so it's never top of mind to the school department, but I think that it should. All right, so, Mr. Plex, did you have any other any comments on the polling place?
Nothing to add. Thank you.
Okay, so can I have a motion to relocate voting for September 3rd, 2024 and November 5th, 2024 to the St. Anthony's Pastoral Hall at 10 Summer Street?
So,
Second,
Okay, roll call vote, please.
already, I.
Jack Creighton, aye.
David Frog, aye.
Chris Plex, aye.
Ellen Mar, aye. Okay, next, Michelle.
oh, the recreation of funds for rental income for 135 King Street. So, a couple months back, you voted to create a revolving fund for 135 King Street that expired end of fiscal year. We're asking you to recreate that fund this year, the following fiscal year. Still have rental income coming in for the next year. And we'd like to put it in a revolving fund and it will be used for expenses.
Okay,
for that.
so we just simply make a motion to recreate the fund? Okay, so could I have a motion to recreate the fund for rental income for 135 King Street?
So moved.
Can I have a second?
Second,
Thank you. Roll call, all in favor?
Aye. Jack Creighton, aye.
Already, I.
David Frog, aye.
Chris Plex, aye.
Ellen Mar, aye. And so the intent of those funds is to be used for maintenance, correct?
For maintenance, or any expenses. So we're bringing on the OPM.
Yep.
We can start funding some of that with.
With that money? Okay. Okay, great, thank you. Okay, so next, the previous select board, we never formally voted on the school stabilization fund policy or the road stabilization fund policy. And I think we should, and we should get them posted. I'm sorry? We never voted on it. We waited for the capital budget edits, and then we waited for advisory. And by the time advisory got, had time in their schedule, I think it was town meeting time. So, David, I don't know if you feel comfortable.
Yes, I've reviewed.
You've reviewed them. Okay, good. Okay, is there any comment or question?
No.
These are the same policies. We've talked about them, but we've just never voted on them and they're not posted. So I just wanted to make sure we got this done.
Well, I'll make a motion to approve the school stabilization fund policy and the road stabilization fund policy.
Okay. Is there a second?
Second,
Okay, all in favor, roll call, please.
Already, I.
Jack Creighton, aye.
David Frog, aye.
Chris Plex, aye.
Ellen Mar, aye. Great, thank you. So, Tracy, when these get posted, will you put approved? Top right corner, approved by the select board with today's date? Thank you. Okay, we have a slate of board and committee appointments. All of them are uncontested. I believe all of them, most of them are reappointments. Does anyone have, there are only 3 that were not reappointments on election workers and 1 on AEC. Everything else was a reappointment. Does anyone have any questions? No? Okay, so we can do this in one motion.
So moved.
Hang on. I would love to, Jack, but I don't think so. Okay, so I will read through the slate as the motion and then someone can make the motion and second it. Okay, So for the Board of Registrars for a 3-year term, Ronald Goodwin; for Community Preservation Commission for a 3-year term, Tom Reardon; Cohasset Elder Affairs Board for 3-year term, Paul Kears, Helen Nothnagel, Diana Karcher, Sarah Livermore; Fence Viewer for 1-year term each, Glenn Pratt, Annette Sawchuk; Election Workers, 2-year term, Abigail Alves, Joe Estino, Agnes McCann, Jody Doyle, Richard Harries, Rebecca Matei, Virginia Najmi, Ruth Nedrow, Susan Ryan, Kenneth Warner, Kathy Forrest, Sheila Marquetti, Kathleen Krumzik, Paula McDonald, Susan George, Matthew Dickey, Michelle Appleby, Katie Holden, Julia Canny. And for the PEB Committee, 3-year term, Tim Davis, Katie Dugan, and Christopher Otto-Lifson. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Okay. All in favor, roll call?
Paul Grady, aye.
Jack Creighton, aye.
David Frog, aye.
Chris Plex, aye.
Ellen Mar, aye. I think that's the fastest we've ever done committee appointments. Okay, so now, select board goals. So I sent around based off our workshop, and, Chris, we missed you. I sent around the first, it's just a first draft. And it talks about the things that we talked about. And it's not necessarily in priority, but it was in the order in which we spoke. In reviewing this myself personally, I kind of feel maybe a preamble is needed in terms of why we're doing this, but I'll leave it up to the committee. And that was my comment. Since I wrote it, I don't have any other comments other than that. So I'll leave it open to everyone.
I think it's great. I think we kept it simple. We got a lot of cleanup to do. Again, trying to entice people on the boards, Highland Ave, we want to get that behind us after what, 40 years? And get the working group that we discussed, the police and fire. No, I think they're all doable goals.
And I think it's good to bring it to the public so the public knows that in fact, part of what we're doing in governing our town is we're thinking ahead and trying to decide what it is that we want to do, and then we're taking it seriously. So I think it's a good move.
Mr. Farag?
They're great. The committee, looked at them and agrees with them, and I think it's going to be important to hopefully execute them. I mean, some might dip into another year, obviously with King Street and the police station, that's going to take some time to go through, but they're very important. There's a lot of infrastructure things. You get town hall and the police station in there, so hopefully we can line some of them up and get them on the proper road.
The only, Mr. Plex, a comment I have is on number 7. I wasn't quite sure what you were envisioning. So if you have some edits to that, I'm more than happy to improve upon what I wrote.
No, I think you got the spirit of it, not committing to anything, just seeking to make sure that we have visibility on these issues. They're challenging issues, they're potentially expensive issues. So really just to gather information and make sure the town is aware that we're looking at them and we're putting together plans, which is vague, I recognize, but I'm happy to tweak the wording. At the same time, the wording that's there is functional for what I had in mind.
Could I put an addendum on that?
Yes.
I'd like to start looking at open spaces. See what we have. I know that committee spent an awful long time on the. I'd like to see what they're up to. They spent a lot, we spent a year on the water bottle ban. But I'd love to see, we have open spaces around town. I'd like to see some of those presentations, maybe get that up. I think that's an environmental issue in and of itself.
Oh, I couldn't agree more strongly. The Open Space Committee was put into place because as a town with limited geographical area, saving whatever open space that we can is a priority, and that was why we moved forward on this. And I think that it would be very good to really emphasize that every piece of land that is lost for good. It will not be going back to open space. So, and it happens not fortunately, unfortunately, it happens incrementally, a little piece here and a little piece there, and pretty soon there's nothing left. So I would agree with Mr. Grady wholeheartedly.
Yeah. I concur, and I had it in my notes that, I mean, they're in, I believe they're finishing their 5th year of a 6-year plan, and it might be appropriate. I had wanted them to come in and make a presentation of where they are and what they think that needs to carry over to the next generation, and making it part of our goals really kind of gets that done. You know, make sure that it happens. So would you put that under environmental
Yes,
issues or?
environmental.
Okay.
Again, I'm going back to like the water thing, it's been a short amount of time on that.
Yep. Okay,
I've yet to see them in front of us anytime except for that.
right.
So, you know, we come up with this beautiful plot of land up over by the pool or something like that.
Well,
So I'd be
Yeah.
interested in seeing that. 'Cause I
okay,
agree with preserving the environment.
okay. Great. What are everybody's thoughts of a preamble on this in terms of a mission statement of why we came up with what we came up with? Necessary, not necessary? You're not going to hurt my feelings if you
I'll
say,
leave that to the chair. If you think, you know, I'm all for opening it up. If you feel like putting something on that.
Yeah, we made you a chair for a reason. Go with yours.
okay.
If you're open.
So, all right, so I will do that, and we'll have final draft to vote on July 23rd. And we'll be good to go. I should have done it to begin with, but I was a little brain dead. I'm sorry.
Don't do the Star Spangled Banner.
Oh, gosh, no, 2 sentences, 2 brevity. Okay. Select board comments, Mr. Grady?
No, I'm glad I was, you know, I'm glad Chris put that 7 in there, because that brought me back to the open spaces. So I'm pretty pleased with that. Good job, Chris.
Mr.
You'll
Creighton?
see it on my review. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm glad we brought up the open spaces, because I think that one of the things that we really need as a town and as a community is to understand exactly how fragile this town of Cohasset is and the environmental issues that we and everybody needs to understand that we are always at risk of losing this very, very special, and like all special things, vigilance is required. So I ask not only my fellow select board members, but all members of committees, and most especially all citizens, to be aware of how fragile this town that we call Cohasset is, and let's recommit ourselves to keeping it that way. Thank you.
David?
The only comments are, and we'll probably look at this at a future meeting, was I wasn't able to attend the fireworks on July 3rd, but I got a lot of feedback from people who had an enjoyable time, and from what I saw from the reports, the amount of people that went to it was quite impressive. So I think it's going to be something for the board to talk about of what should be done in the future with that
Mhm.
event.
Mhm.
It's something that wants to be extended and make it more of a, you know, tradition, or if people want to go in a different direction, I think that's going to be something to look at. But that was the feedback that I got from most of the people, was that it was a very enjoyable event and without incident as well. So we'll see on a future meeting where that should go.
Could I follow up on that? I would
Sure.
actually second David's comment. The feedback was tremendously positive. I think it's something, you know, we talked about last year, putting together some sort of events for the town. We have a lot of events. That was a heck of a good one. Both years, they've been really positive. And I do have something to say, though. I understand on that. That I'm glad you brought that up, is that they have the donation page. All right, and where I got some negative feedback was they were looking for donations. You had the minimum was $50. So there was something on there, and I heard it
Suggested.
was a suggested amount, but people like had tried. I knew I had a couple phone calls on it, and said that, you know, I would have donated, you know, 10 or 20 or 25. I think it was kind of a put off, you know, anything the town wants to chip in, but I think it's something that we should That's the only negative. Everything else was extremely positive and it went off without a hitch.
Yeah.
I think it's something that we should kind of lock in. To a future event, for the town. I think it's, and kudos to, Mr. McClellan, doing some organizing and organizing a lot of it, and, but I think it should be competition, again, it's, how many events do you see like that, where you really go to the king to talk about a hitch, and you don't have any trouble, no
Right.
arrests, I mean, at least none that I know of.
Well, that's because I wasn't there.
No,
Just kidding. Just kidding.
David, thanks for bringing that up.
Yeah.
I was unfortunately working both nights, working on a little event just like that on the Esplanade,
Oh.
Boston. So they had a few more fireworks than we had in the West,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
nevertheless. But no, I think it's something to talk about to
Mhm.
see if it should become a tradition going forward or not.
Mhm.
'Cause the feedback was positive, and it's also great for the, for our police as well, because they can use it as beyond working, they can use it as a training
Right.
opportunity as well, so.
For the last 2 years, they've done a yeoman's job. Nothing happened. Everything's positive. So yeah, I think they're fantastic.
Yeah.
We shall see.
Yeah. Mr. Plex? Any general comments?
Nothing else to add. Look forward to a productive year.
Okay, thank you. So I did not go to the fireworks. I was a bit under the weather. Some of the feedback I got, not enough buses, but we're at the mercy of how many bus drivers, want to work that night and how many runs with 3,500 people and a bus can hold 50 people. You're talking about a lot of runs from the school and from downtown. And so I think we need to, maybe do a little bit more work on the transportation end of it. I did hear, not that it was bad, but because Hingham is no longer doing fireworks and Situate doesn't do them, that there were a lot of non-residents enjoying the fireworks. And I just hope not at the detriment of residents not being able to go because of logistical issues. The feedback is positive. If anyone out there still wants to donate, they can still go to the Cohasset Recreation webpage and make a donation. I think that at the cost of this event compared to our gross annual budget, it's about less than 1%. I would say let's, plan for it for FY '26. Because it is something, a signature event for Cohasset. It's a beautiful setting and everyone had a good time. My other comment, so our next meeting is July 23rd. We're planning on voting our final goals. The new school superintendent, Sarah Shannon, and Craig McClellan has resumed the chair position for the school committee. Would like to have them come in, finish our goals, any boards and committee appointments. And I think we're going to have a conversation about special town meeting and the schedule. If there's anything else anybody wants on the agenda, please let me know and I'm happy to put it on. And just full disclosure, I received a call today from the Wall Street Journal looking for comment on the Oyster Farm litigation. I think I might have been their last phone call. The reporter, and I don't have his name, I have his number, had spoken already to many people about the situation. And I didn't divulge anything that isn't public already, so that, he didn't really need to call me because he could just look at a meeting or look at meeting minutes and see what was said. There are others that he spoke with that don't have, municipal governance to deal with in terms of what you can and cannot say. But I just wanted everyone to know that. I don't know if he will be calling anyone else. You're free to speak or not speak or defer it back to me if you wish. I don't know the timing of an article. I don't know when.
Wall Street Journal. Huh?
The Wall Street Journal, yep.
Front page above the fold.
Above the fold. I'm
Good.
famous for something, right? So I just wanted to share that with everybody.
I also, by the way, got a call, and probably the same reporter, I'm not sure. And my policy, well, first of all, a select board member or any member of the town cannot speak as a policy. And you can speak personally as long as the reporter is very clear on that. And I spoke to him, I gave him some background, but purely from a personal observations, and made it very clear that I was not speaking, nor could I speak for the town. And maybe at some time, the select board, we should speak to town council and understand. I'm pretty clear of what I cannot say, but maybe we need, you know, whatever, but I think I look forward to making the Wall Street Journal.
Yeah.
For the town of Cohasset. And hopefully we'll get a good read on people understanding what we're dealing with.
Yeah, and just to clarify, you made a good point, Jack. I did not say anything that we have not said in the meeting. I did not bring up anything we have not discussed. I didn't mention anything that was an executive question. He had some probing questions about things that had occurred, and I did not comment on any of that. And he asked me actually a lot about my opinion and, you know, how long I've been in town and blah, 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 and what's my relationship. And, you know, I have family that lives in Situate. So, yeah, if we had as a select board, a governance package, you know, or not a package, but a governance guideline on how we conduct ourselves, part of that too is appointing someone who speaks for the committee, you know, to the public. But at this moment, we don't have one. Okay, anything else?
One quick update.
Yep.
Recreation projects. So as of Monday, the Beechwood Playground will be closed, as well as the Bancroft Tennis Courts. We're going to mobilize our equipment to start the project.
That's exciting. Well done, Michelle.
Start. Also for the public safety building, we had the proposals come in for the OPM. We got together with our subgroup. We narrowed it down to 3 finalists. We're conducting final interviews this Thursday, and we'll be able to bring someone to the board on the 23rd.
Excellent. Well done.
Let's say on the recreation projects, so the public knows, how long will they be out of commission?
So as far as the Beechwood Playground, that will move fairly quickly. However, we're thinking they'll be out of commission till at least September. And as far as the tennis courts, we're looking at October.
Okay.
Oh,
So
well, what's a little inconvenience for years of
Yeah.
pleasure, huh?
I know. Okay, so we do have minutes to approve. And so the first set of minutes is from May 21, 2024, which Mr. Farag needs to abstain from. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes from May 21? Do
So moved.
I have a second?
Second,
Any comment or conversation? No? Roll call, please.
Already, aye.
Jack Creighton, aye.
David Frog
Chris
abstained.
Plex, aye. Oh,
Ellen Mar,
sorry,
aye.
David.
That's okay. Okay, and abstain. Okay. And now, can I have a motion? Well, is there any comment or conversation on the minutes of June 11th? No? Can I have a motion to approve the minutes of June 11th?
So moved.
Second. Okay, roll call.
Already, aye.
Jack Creighton, aye.
David Frog, aye.
Ellen
Chris
Mar,
Plex, aye.
aye. Oh, Chris Plex, sorry, I'm out of order. Chris Plex, aye. Ellen Mar, okay, sorry. Okay, so that concludes our meeting. Can I have a motion to
I'll
adjourn?
make that motion.
Second,
Okay, roll call.
Already, aye.
Jack Creighton, aye.
David Frog, aye.
Chris Plex, aye.
Ellen Mar, aye. Thank you.